Hey, if you've stuck with me this far, we are now going to prep the contents of the rhubarb pie that we're putting in our Table Talk pie pan. Table Talk is still around. They were big when I was a child, basically. These pans that I just spent time cleaning, they were, you bought the pie in this pan and you returned it for a nickel. They were on deposit. Some, that was very common, and some of the pans actually have the deposit printed on them. So, picked these yesterday and washed them. They're not very pretty. That's because I'm doing a lot of gardening around them, but they are totally edible. Rhubarb is not very common anymore. When I was a kid, everybody had it in their yard. I didn't have a rhubarb pie until I was an adult, because basically I just sit in the garden with or somebody's garden with a bowl of sugar, shoving the rhubarb in the sugar and eating it that way. That was how I learned to eat rhubarb. Everybody has it with strawberry, or you don't need to adulterate it. It's fine by itself. Jeez. All right. I was looking at recipes that are, I went back and I found Fred Thompson, not the actor, not the senator, Fred S. Thompson, wrote the definitive rhubarb or pie plant culture, which I didn't realize. I actually had that PDF. The book is ultra rare. Basically, every copy that you're going to see online is just the PDF of the Library of Congress copy over and over and over again. So if Google says, oh, don't download it, they're full of it. It is so out of copyright, it's not even funny. But getting a hardcover, you're not going to get a hardcover, you're going to get a copy of a hardcover. And if you were going to buy one, a hard one, there's an Indian company called Gyan, G-Y-A-N. You'll see if you go to Bookfinder or Biblio.com. I have only bought one or two of their digital reprints, but they take extra care. They really make it a nice product, whereas opposed to they don't just send you any old thing. I've been very happy. The price is wicked cheap, and they're very nice. Just don't be in a rush. But this is rhubarb or pie plant culture, because essentially it was most famous as a pie plant. Illustrated, best varieties, essential points. It's like 90 pages long, and it published in 1894. And later on down the road, there's recipes at the end of the book. There's a rhubarb pie, which is a one crust pie, and then there's a pie plant pie, which is a two crust pie. And this is, of course, I should be doing this while I'm talking. This is, of course, uniform recipes. So it says peel and stew rhubarb. Doesn't say how much, how many. Well, one recipe, you'll find competing recipes out there in the universe. Some pre-stew the rhubarb and others do not. The pie plant recipe is just putting the rhubarb into the pie, the double cross pie. The rhubarb pie recipe in this book in 1894 is stewed. It's stewed. It's done with one crust on the bottom, but it also has, after you stew the rhubarb, not before, you add 2 egg yolks, and then they expect you to whip the egg whites and then top it with the meringue, and then brown it in the oven. So it's done like a lemon meringue pie. Basically, your egg yolks are in the pie, your egg whites are on top, waste not, want not. And I thought I'd make that because I have never seen it. Never made it, never seen it, but it's in the definitive research book on rhubarb. And I was looking at some of the later recipes for rhubarb pie, and some of them were actually this recipe with slight variations, or basically it's somebody's family recipe, but they don't know where they got it. Okay, you peel it, you skin it. Right now it's stinging a little cuts in my fingers from pruning the thorny bushes. So that's why I have all these pans out here. Put the garbage in that one. So it doesn't say how much, but you have to kind of re-engineer it. 2 egg yolks, 1/2 cup full of granulated sugar. Is that a real half cup? Is it a half of a coffee cup? Is it a half of a teacup? Who knows? I'm going to use a real half cup because it doesn't say otherwise. And that sounds like about the right ratio. Other recipes would, when you're prepping the rhubarb, add whatever you want. You can add rum, which I highly recommend, and vanilla, or vanilla made with rum, which I really highly recommend, or cinnamon. Rhubarb lends itself nicely to all kinds of companions. I really, really wanted to. It's usually not this fiddly. You can usually I'm just being fiddly because I let this one sit on the counter, and the cut parts got a little dry for me, and I don't think they're going to stew up nicely. I've got the Instapot out here because I just thought it is the faster, better way for me to stew this to get right to the pie making. I am going to use a store-bought crust for the bottom. I just did not feel to. If I hadn't prepped the pan, I probably would have made crust, but I was just being lazy. I keep it in the freezer, so I always keep 1 or 2 in the freezer, especially when I want to do something like a tea cookie or something. I don't want to have to make pie crust just to make a small pastry or something. Okay, I really probably should have cut the bottom off this. Yeah, it's kind of like asparagus. It grows just like asparagus. Ah, it's a fern. Well, I'm not sure if it's a fern, but it kind of does the same freaking thing. It pops up at the same time of year. It grows in the same kind of similar ground. But basically, it's like you go to the part that's no longer the part that you want to eat. What's harder, cut that stem off. Okay, we're getting there. I think 2 is about what I would use for a pie. So, and it's gonna stew down, and then we don't want it to, because it's gonna have one crust and it's gonna have meringue on top. We don't want it. It's not gonna be mounded. It's gonna already be kind of flat. So, put that bottom off. So I think more is better. And if it's a little short, then I'll know. Not sure how much rhubarb I've got left in the garden at this point. I cut off all the big stalks of the big plant. I've got one from last year, one I put in this year. Got a spot picked out for another one for next year. And I've got an idea to take over one of the whole vegetable beds. Who knows? I might find some more space someplace. Yeah, it'll be fun. So I might end up with a lot of rhubarb. Now, rhubarb pie were popular because, especially for people in an economic downturn, because it grew almost anywhere. Once it took root, it didn't need any help. Everybody could have it, or steal it, or find it, and you got your vitamin C because it was a way to have fruit. When I was a kid, which was really not that long ago because I'm not that old. I'm talking like in the 60s. Everybody, it was very common to find rhubarb in yards, and Concord grapes in yards, and mulberries. I just stand at other people's mulberries bushes and come home with all the evidence all over me. Okay. I am not sure that's not enough. That looks mingy. Hang on. It didn't look so bad before I peeled it. I'm back. And got company. This is I think one of the last big ones left. I still have a little insect predation out there. I don't like spraying. I don't use a lot of chemicals. But I'm just spraying with the same thing I put on the apple trees. So this year's not too bad. We don't want that. But let me wash this. Like I said, I don't spray a lot, but I do spray. There we go. Like I said, same thing I put on the apple trees. So. And then we're going to stew it. It doesn't say how long to stew it for. I would obviously not obviously. I would not want to stew it for until it's liquefies, because obviously when okay, today's word is obviously. Ding me every time I say it. It's a with the eggs. What's the word? This is bugging me. I hate getting old. When it kind of makes a custard when the egg and the fruit meet in glorious union and they gel. So we do want it and closer to the preserve, you know, like a chunkier state. At least I do. Your mileage may vary. Yeah, I don't like peeling it off this much. But the recipe said to peel it, so I'm peeling it. I would just scrape it like I do with carrots. I mean, it's a little stringy, you know, so you get a little stringy in your food. Don't be so picky. But we're gonna try to do what it says on the recipe. I mean, the whole thing is stringy, like celery. If you just keep on peeling it, it's just gonna be nothing string. And also, we lose a lot of the color when we peel it. And, so, oh, that's more better. What do you want to bet that that's? Oh, a little bit over half pound, maybe more. Let's find out. Let's go this way. Set it to tare weight, so the bowl doesn't count. Put it back in the bowl. That is, yeah, I was right. It's 0.6. I am so smart sometimes. Okay, yeah, that's 0.6. So, I gotta make a note. We did a half a pound, and we're gonna stew it. And I have a feeling that I tend to overcook using the Instant Pot. Because I'm, you know, when I'm using it, I'm being very lazy. It's kind of like you do the work, and I'll just go away and I'll come back. So we're gonna stew it. Yeah, it started heating it up. Peel and stew. It doesn't say how to cut it. So I think what I'm doing is cutting it into 1/8 of an inch. You know what you would do with an apple, I think. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing this time. Who knows? If I make this recipe again, I'll know better. That's the size of it. I threw some in because I want to hear when it starts to sizzle, because that means I want to have everything in there by then, because the last thing I want to do is overheat that pan when it's empty, or any pan for that matter. Doesn't say to put anything in here before you stew it, and I'm wondering if it has enough fluid to stew itself, or do I have to start it off with some moisture? Like any other 19th century instruction, they figured you knew what you were doing. It's like, we don't have to tell them all this. We don't have to tell them how much to measure. We don't have to tell them. Okay, you gotta love this one. This is the pie plant pie recipe, which is the one where not stewed. It says wash and peel. Doesn't say what to wash and peel, just wash and peel. I mean, it's the one following recipe, so. Place in chopping bowl and chop up fine. Turn off the juice. Turn off the juice. I literally says turn off the juice. You can look it up. Line your tins, plural, with pie crust. Fill up the pan with chopped plant and 1 teacup full of sugar. I think teacup might be a half. Teacup, yeah. Maybe a little over half. I don't know. 3 tablespoons of cream or a piece of butter the size of a hickory nut. I haven't seen a hickory nut in a really long time. I'm thinking a hickory nut is bigger than an acorn, smaller than a walnut. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And then cut in small pieces, place around plate, so that would be like dot plate dotted with butter. Cover with pie crust, bake in hot oven. And obviously we don't need to be told, you know, hot oven is like 375. Because they expected you to have a pan, you know, that was either tin steel or steel. I mean, basically that's what you had in 1894. Probably could do it in cast iron, which, you know, would probably need some heating, because if you don't, pie would just get soggy waiting around for that thing to heat up. So, that's that. I do have a wooden cutting board to introduce, but it needs a reface, which sounds like another video. So, we're not going to put anything in here yet. I feel very uncomfortable about that. I have some water nearby, just in case. Yeah. See, the Instant Pot, it needs to, yeah. It has a, mine has a convex, which is taller in the middle and lower on the sides. So, yeah, that was it. That was what? 3 tablespoons. I think we're up to a 1/4 cup. Yeah. Well, like onions, basically we want to start them going so that they release all of their, ooh, that smells nice. Release all of their juices. Alright, I'm going to put this on to steam for 4 minutes. I use steam on 3 minutes to do eggs. Alright, so we've got that going. I don't have anything else we can do right now except juice the lemon and separate the eggs. They keep much, much longer if you don't wash them. And considering, you know, they don't last that long in our possession anyway. That's not really a big deal. But, no, I don't smack it right on the edge for 2 reasons. One, the homegrown eggs have really hard shells. I might break the plate, break the bowl. And the other is I don't want to jam anything on the outside that I didn't get off. I mean, especially with store-bought ones, up inside of the egg. So you do it on the counter and then do it in here. Basically, if you lose any shells, chase it with the shell. The shell will pick up itself. It's each other. You can chase it around with your finger all day long. You're not going to catch it. Just use it on a piece of shell and winkle it out. Otherwise, just eat it. So there's more eggs in there. I don't have a fancy egg separator, or actually I do. It's on the end of my hand, and I've washed my hands like 1 billion times today. So we're just gonna pinch it, do this. Don't have to separate eggs very often. I almost never. There's still a lot of white in here. Oh, I have it backwards. Now I have the white in this bowl. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Should have cracked them into the other one. Why didn't you tell me? There. Haha! I did it. Yes, there is a sensual pleasure. And you can see how orange these are. These are like, you know, lemons. Let's go that one. It's more lemon than the lemon. That's because they get table scraps. Okay, well, we're still managing to do what I wanted to do. Is it going to sit there? Yeah. Alright, so we put this one in the fridge for the whites. Okay, so can't do nothing for 4 more minutes until that's done. So, check back. I get the feeling very soon I'm going to have to change the battery again. So, this just went off, and now we're going to let the steam out of it. Do something dramatic. second it off. I'm just hoping, like Mom told me, that I did not overcook it. All right. Next time, I will actually do it on the, I will actually stew them in a pan, but I have to set the little butane stove up to do that. And I was just tired. Alright, letting the steam out. I know a lot of people were like, oh, pressure cookers. I got this 4 years ago, and I'm very happy with it. And my pressure cooker is still in the basement, just in case. Because I've had pressure cookers forever. They're like a microwave for the stove. But I mean, certain things I really like doing with this. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little overcooked. But it's still good. I'm making it anyway. Lesson learned. Not quite a fiasco. Just went sideways. Okay. Alright, well, we don't want to do anything with it while it's hot. You're going to stew it anyway, so now it's stewed. I think this is supposed to look like this. I think I was just kind of dreaming that it wasn't, because as soon as you break the bonds, like celery, it's like has a celery consistency. It's just going to let go. But you've got all the fruitiness. I believe there's pectin. That's what makes it fruit. Everything is still in there. It's just I don't want to put I can't put anything in quite yet. I suppose I could, do the thing where you put the, wait till it cools. Okay, we're better. Cutting boards in the sink. Now this lemon is older than normal. I haven't made anything with lemon for a little while. Alright, I'm going to use juice of half a lemon. Oh, I should have pulled the peel off of it. It's just harder to do it after you squoze it. Let's try something. Let's try it. It's probably not going to work, but we'll try it. Let's try this. I happen to have two of these. In another case, I have. Yeah, I know there are devices that actually do this. That is so not enough lemon. When they get older, they get dry. And that's why you want to use them up when they're all nice and shiny. So, well, first place we're going to juice the whole lemon, and then we'll decide how much lemon, how much we get. I'll tell you one thing: this thing's never going to corrode. Not with the amount of lemon that this citrus. Oxo has a really nice little plastic one, but it comes in 3 pieces, and the center flips. So one side is lime size, and the other side, or lime and lemon, and the other side is orange and grapefruit size. I gave it away because it didn't fit in the cupboard. But it was ideal if you're doing cocktails and stuff, because it has measures right on the container. Okay. Yeah. That's about 3/4 of a normal lemon, so we're going to use most of that. No, not most. And yeah, this is cooling right down because we put it on the ice. So that's all going to get mixed together. Let's get the pie crust on its. I didn't want to put this out until I knew I wasn't going to have anything hot on here, because I didn't want to hurt it. I only pull it out. I keep it slid in next to the refrigerator. way I don't have to keep all the surfaces clean. I can just throw this on the kitchen table or on a cutting board, and it's like, oh, that's clean. This is clean, and this only is used for flour. And then afterward, I just wipe it. All right. And we're going to use, like I said, we're going to use store-bought. And there's like a sweet spot between when it's too cold that it cracks and when it's warm and it sticks. So you want that sweet spot. So it's like, take it out of the fridge. I know, it can be repaired. Oh, that reminds me. Well, yeah, we'll have to get a little, like, keep a little egg so that in case we crack it, repair it. When you want to stick it back to itself, you can use a little bit of water. What I got today, I got some this is called a chip brush, and they use them for painting. I mean, they are clean enough. They're perfectly fine for cooking use, but they're kind of a disposable. Cheaper things are, like this is under $1, like 60 cents or something. The always wear safety goggles when working with tools and equipment. Excuse me? Okay, that's one of the funnier things I read today. But this is pure bristle. It's not plastic. If it gets into your, if one finds its way into the pie crust, nobody cares. That's one of the reasons it's made of bristle. You're not gonna. It's not like a bone in your throat. It's just protein. But so basically, you use it a few times. Don't put it through the dishwasher. Just kind of rinse it because it will develop rust inside here. The only ones that don't are the silicone ones that are set in, and they usually don't have bristle. They usually look like that. So, but anyways, like I said, I forgot to preheat my oven. I'm gonna go to baking hell. All right. Anyway, so keep that out for repairs. You always a cup of water in that, and you can put any sticky parts that break. Just stick them back to itself. Okay, we have a nice shiny steel. If that has just a little bit of oil on it, nothing's going to stick to it. Not unless you burn sugar. So it's not like you need to freak out and grease and oil this lubricator. It's, you know, it's steel. It's going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. And unless you burn it to a crisp, it's totally edible. Everything already is edible. You're not going to die. But there we go. So, I wish I used it. Also, 1894, the ovens were not that precise. Okay, we're definitely going to trim some of that off. See, I even have stuff that's close to me, and it's not that big a deal. It's right there. Alright, so I get a bit of a nice crimp, and all the excess. I know, I could roll it in sugar and bake it and waste not, want not. But it's bad enough I'm making my pie for myself. Yeah, I give up. I'll use a fork. Alright, I'm not a baker like that. Okay. Beaucoup years ago, it's gotta go inside. I learned to paint the inside of a pie like this so that any of the errant moisture, it's like when you pre-oil a pizza, so things don't, you know, find their way all the way down to the dough. Yeah, see, there's a bristle. How big? Even if I didn't find it, I wouldn't care. So it's kind of like sealing it, and all the egg is going to do is bind with what you're putting in. But it just kind of makes it so that the... I'm reading between the lines. There's only like 75 words in this recipe. You gotta figure out the rest of it. Okay. And there's another one. I know, but I bought them so I could throw them away. If I wanted a nice one, I have to wash and take care of it. I'd buy one. All right. So much for that. Now let's see. Oh, it's totally cold. Ah! Oh my God, I dropped water. all of my mat. Okay. That's perfect. It's totally cold. No, I'm not dirtying another pan. See? Stewed. Stewed. Well, I guess I was delusional. It wasn't actually going to turn out looking like an apple pie, because this is going to be more of a custard. Who knew? I know if I'd thought about it, but I only decided to make this one as opposed to the other one like 20 minutes before I started. Okay, so we're going to put this in. I want to take this out. Oops, I know. It's just that will bond to the egg. And I'll have to wash it, and I'll hate that. So we're going to use that, which is a lot easier. Okay, so we got 2 eggs and basically a half a pound of rhubarb. The sink gets full up fast doing these videos. By myself, I hardly ever measure anything. Okay, so I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 teaspoons, 1 tablespoon. Yeah, and that's leaving me probably exactly another tablespoon. Perfect. I like the little part. Okay. That's perfect. Now, everything going into here. Yep, I think the ratio to egg to the to stewed rhubarb is perfect. And okay, let's read it again. Add juice of half a lemon. Well beaten egg yolks. I probably should have beaten them. Bad egg yolks. Okay, there we go. Sweeten with a half. It sucked if I made this without sugar. I'd have eaten it. Oh, I would have eaten it. Like I said, I think that's the last of the big stalks of rhubarb out there. I'm not going to pick any until later. Okay, so that's a quarter. And that's another quarter. You saw me. You saw me do that. Yeah, I think the oven is at the right temperature now. Okay, so now we've got our half cup. That's why we have a recipe. I printed it really big so blind people like me can read it. Line tins with good crust. Store-bought. Fill the tins with rhubarb. Bake until crust is light brown. Okay, so I know I could use the whisk, but the whisk I have other plans for the whisk, and I don't. You get all the strawberry strings, I'm gonna have to spend an hour pulling them out. Yeah, I just stir it until I can no longer hear the granules, sugar granules on the bottom, and like I said, the bottom of the Instapot is higher in the middle, so I just have to kind of scrape the bottom of the sides. Okay, so we're in good shape. And why do I have this out? I think this was the other pie. I know. If you weren't here, I wouldn't do that. But I also don't want to spill in that, and I have to freaking wash the whole thing instead of wiping it. Okay. So I really think I should have put egg granulated. I'll put milk on that. I'll keep it from burning. I know, I should have opened another egg. Okay, so let's get our pie crust. Ooh, that looks good. Oh no, maybe it meant for me to have a pound in there. It didn't say. We will know. This will be an experiment, and then next time I'll make it again. Okay, so yeah, and if we add the meringue, then it's about halfway up the side. It's probably going to puff up a little bit. It has egg in it. That's okay. Not enough to worry about. Hey, there are people out there on YouTube making videos who know what they're doing. Go watch them. Okay. Oh, this looks really excellent. Okay, so we got the oven going. We got the pie, and now we're going to do the meringue. Okay, mystery solved. I know, I could really look things up on my phone if I wasn't using the phone to control the camera. Because my memory was lemon meringue, in which case you put it on and bake it at the same time, and it's different. But no, you put it on a hot pie and then it helps cook it from below. And I just keep checking it because I put it in for the... Nope, it's still not quite set in the center. So basically I just wanted to keep an eye on that. Hey, I'm cooking from a recipe that is way older than 100 years, so I have no idea what oven he told about. So I think we're past the 35-minute mark. We'll find out. But anyways, I'm using this bowl because it's the only one I have that I know I can whip egg whites in by hand. Yeah, I could pull out the KitchenAid. It's behind the Instant Pot and the microwave. I'm not doing it. And this is so much faster than actually just cleaning the beaters on that thing. I pull that out if I'm going to do a lot of things. I'm busy. I still have it. I've had it since, I don't know, sometime in the 80s or 90s. Anyway, so it says, I know, I'm going to read the recipe again. It's all commas. This should be a period there. Beat the whites of the egg to a froth, adding 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. Flavor with nutmeg or vanilla. Spread over the top of the pie. Put it back in the oven. And bake it till it's delicious. Well, here's our lovely egg whites. Lovely fresh egg whites. And I know, I may have to turn the volume down on this. I'm going to try to find some music that I don't have to pay for an intro and an outro and the whole 9 yards. I don't know how long I'm going to keep making these videos. I mean, not enough commenters. It's like right now I'm making them for my own amusement. Or actually I'm just kind of making them to clean my kitchen. Oh yeah. I just don't think this bowl was cold enough. Alright, so none of it's on the beater. The beater came out clean. So, and now it's not clean because now it's on the floor. Because it rolls. So you can have nice peaks, you can hold it upside down, it's good. And get to work out. What I do, what does it say? 3 tablespoons full. 3, 1. Yeah, it's kind of lumpy. I know, I'm checking the pie again. Shush. Canned pumpkin isn't even pumpkin anyway. It's a particular kind of squash, which is technically a pumpkin as far as they're concerned. There's a reason I don't use pumpkin. Why are we talking about pumpkin? I don't know. But I probably should have folded one in at a time. I just got impatient. Yeah. And that's why you don't do that. So you don't pay extra for all these lessons. Well, guess what? That one's on the floor. I'm going to use this one. There's air back in there. I have several. I'm going to have to wipe up everything. Alright, well, we're not going to drop you on the floor. You can stay on the counter, on the table. And check in the oven again. It is still gooey. Sorry. Have to come back. Alright, I have no idea if it's done, but let's take a look at it. It's essentially, I think it went past custard date. I made the little collar to protect this once it started to really go past custard. I mean, it's still bubbling. I mean, it's still probably going to be edible. And that's probably what it's supposed to be. It was probably supposed to get really dense. I just think this would have been better as tarts. Just thinking off the top of my head. But I ended up putting this in the fridge. Meanwhile, very tasty. I like that. But because I did look up some rhubarb custard pies to see what they thought. And yes, they were all in the 30 to 40 range, smaller, and 350, so smaller. I'll use the thingies, but anyway, so I bet it's going to taste fine. I mean, basically, I would eat rhubarb burnt, so what do I know? Yeah, see, I can see it's getting very jelly. Jelly, jelly. Jelly, jelly. So, yeah, next time I would definitely put the collars on as part of the initial process if it's going to take that long in the oven. 1894, you know, we're probably talking a wood stove maybe. You know, really big gas ovens. I mean, obviously modern ovens are different. There's probably some information out there about cooking old recipes. You would think that someone like me who would look it up first. No. You would be wrong. I was thinking, hey, I can do this. How hard is it? People did it in 1994. Yeah, well, somebody knew what they were doing. Especially, I got this out of a recipe book for people growing this stuff. And, I mean, being called the pie plant, it was probably, you know, everybody made them. Everybody knew what they were doing. They weren't stupid like me. Okay, so I just want to make sure we covered it all. And now we'll get the rest of it in the middle. I know, this is a really long video, isn't it? I know, people who make pies, this doesn't take this long because they're not talking. They're not thinking about, they have everything out. They know what they're doing. Try not to look like a jerk. Okay. Alright. So we got the whole thing covered. All the way to the edges, which are very, very brown. And I really think we should put those collars back on. Okay, still has some more tin foil left over. And lots of tin foil. And let's try growing it from seed. Hard enough getting the damn plants. I'm getting stuff, perennials like that, large enough that they will overwinter. Okay. Yes. There we go. Yeah, next time, what lessons learned. I might make this again. I really like the sound of it, and I think it's unusual. And I hope it doesn't. The color is right. It may not be. Anyways, I spent some time online looking at rhubarb meringue pies, and they all kind of look like that with the tart layer at the bottom and then the meringue much taller on the top. But I couldn't find anybody trying to do this recipe. They kept, ooh, my edges is bad. My edges are gone. My edges are so gone. My edges. Yeah, I'm not eating that. Anyways, so fingers crossed. I am just gonna probably stick to it. Shush! I think it's all gonna go sideways. We're gonna put a tag on this whole thing called fiasco. Oh no, no. The one freaking thing it didn't do. Ha! It is not in any way, shape, or form stuck to this pan, which was the object of the exercise. I probably could get it out of this entire pan. I probably could. Aside from the burned parts on the top. Oh, of course it is. It's overcooked. It's probably like, literally, aside from this, I'm shocked. That is the one thing that went right. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I think the bottom is still soupy. And I agree. Adding some tapioca, another egg. Yeah, another egg yolk probably would have helped. But I'm definitely going to make this kind of pie again. I don't think rhubarb needs to be. Yeah. Hey, we could throw this in a bowl and, you know, some ice cream. It'll go set. But, yeah, I think this is going to go sideways on us. Probably, you know, I will post about the recipe with my estimations of, from what I can see online, an hour at 350, and in my oven I would definitely wrap the edges, and I think they'll brown fine wrapped, because I think this needs to cook down a lot. You need to get a lot of that moisture out that the rhubarb brought with it. I also may have made a mistake putting it in the Instant Pot, which you probably knew. The Instant Pot I love, but it contains all the moisture. That's one of the reasons baking is kind of a shit show. So basically, it keeps all the moisture in, which is nice for some things. But like if you're going to, like I want to do a pot roast or something where I really want that Maynard thing, I want it in the oven. I want it to burn, I want it to brown, I want it to get some more caramel. you know, so basically it's good for what it does, but I think if I had done it the other way, I would have gotten rid of a lot more of the moisture to start with. So I am stalling. Yeah, I think I even found one recipe where they used vanilla pudding powder or something. People just keep trying to add things to the recipes. I mean, they're not this recipe. They just, see, this is where the thing would have come in handy. They're not this recipe, but they are a similar recipe. You have a custard layer and a meringue layer. So, yeah, I cut it in 4. I'm one person, and the bigger the slice, oh, it didn't turn to soup. It's just pudding, but it's enough. It's layers. I would so get points in the tent for having layers. Okay, we have layers. I wonder if it. And yeah, I burned around the edges, but they, you know, they count for, they get points for taste. You know, don't throw everything in the trash just yet. I mean, I don't have to eat the pie crust, so I don't have little, you know, Julie Child minions for me. So this is just schmutz. But I don't know. You see, there is actually layers. There's layers. Hot. Mmm. That's tasty.